welcome to today's almost daily devotional. We are, believe it or not, in the fourth week of Lent. We are almost to Holy Week into Easter, the Easter season, where we get to hear messages of hope. But today we are going to continue in Jeremiah chapter 16. Jeremiah, the beginning of this chapter is entitled Loss of Hope. So, as you can imagine, this is not going to be a super cheerful passage, but it's 16 and it starts with the 10th verse and it goes like this. When you proclaim all these things to the people and they ask you, why has the Lord pronounced such massive devastation against us? What have we done wrong? Have we sinned against the Lord our God? Then you should tell them, it's because your ancestors have deserted me and followed other gods, declares the Lord. They have served and worshipped them while abandoning me and refusing to keep my instruction. And you who have acted worse than your ancestors, each of you following your own willful, evil hearts and paying no attention to me. I will banish you from this land to a place that neither you nor your ancestors have known. And there you will serve other gods day and night, for I will show you no mercy. But the time is coming, declares the Lord, when no one will say, as the Lord lives who brought up the Israelites from the land of Egypt. Instead they will say, as the Lord lives who brought up the Israelites from the land of the north, and from all the lands where he has banished them. I will bring them back to the land I gave to their ancestors. So when you're reading the prophets, it's always a challenge, I think, to discern how much of this is what God is saying and how much of this is what the prophet hopes that the God is saying, right? We think that the prophets are dictating what God is, that God is speaking into their ear and they're just dictating, they're just writing down exactly the words that God says. But I've always thought that the prophets are probably interpreting, because that's what people do. Even if we get the story from the horse's mouth, we interpret, we use our own filters to understand the context, to understand the deeper meaning as that would fit into our understanding of the world. So I always think Jeremiah and all the prophets are using a little bit of human interpretation, flavoring the prophecy. Now, this is God's tough love speech. I think for me, one of the hardest things as a parent is when I have to give my child a timeout or punish them, take something away from them because they're misbehaving, right? But if you don't do that, because first of all, it's emotional. They cry, they stomp their feet. I don't want a timeout. I don't want a timeout, right? Or I don't want to lose this thing, whatever this thing is that's important to me, especially if it's TV time. And that's a little bit of what God is doing here. God is saying, this is the timeout that you earned. This is the punishment that you earned by your behavior. And it's hard as the parent, as the authority figure, to be the one who has to say, like, you deserve this. This is your punishment for your behavior. And it's hard. But there's no way for the child to learn unless they feel some consequences for their behavior and what is appropriate consequences for their behavior. But even then, we know the timeout is going to end. The punishment will end. It's not forever. You're not going to be sitting on the counter forever. You're not going to lose TV time forever. It's just the appropriate amount of time for your behavior today. And that's sort of what God is saying here. Like, even this punishment that you deserved, this exile from the land that you love, isn't forever. It isn't forever. There is still hope, because I will one day return you, just as I returned you from Egypt. So let's give a little tough love, maybe. Accept that that's what we deserve, and then look for the hope that comes at the end of the rainbow.